What's up, you guys? How y'all doing? So, UH softball just came off their 3-game series against UC Davis. The doubleheader was first, and the rubber match was second. I'm going to start with the doubleheader first. But first of all, guys, before I do that, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to, or if you just want to see some more of my games. I will have another game up sometime next week, another couple more. Maybe even 3 if I decide to do another game of Jeopardy 2003 for the PC. But we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let's get into this. There it is. Both softball goes 2-1 against UC Davis, but they could have swept. I say that because, as you can see by these two scores here, UH would lose the first game 12-4 in 8 innings, only to come back to shut out UC Davis 6-0 in the second game of the doubleheader. I'm talking about that first. But I'll tell you this, that first game was going really well until it didn't go well, because it started out not so great, because Davis got 2 home runs early for a total of 4 runs. And they got it in like the first couple of innings, and then Liliana Thomas gets UH on the board with a solo shot here.
That's number 33, Thomas.
And after that, it was all UH from the get for the rest of the 7 scheduled innings. And this one could have been a win. And they had about at least a couple of opportunities to win it, even loading the bases at times. But they were able to tie it up at 4 off of a Millie Fidge RBI single, opposite field RBI single. And that turned out to be the run that tied up the score at 4. But in the 6th inning, Sierra Yamamoto leads off with a triple, but unfortunately nobody on UH was able to bring her home, because unfortunately Davis had responded. Now, they're a good team, Davis I'm talking about. But as it turns out, I've only been a softball for the last 3 calendar years almost. But it turns out that UH managed to take the series over Davis. First time that's happened since 2017. And that's a long time to get a series win over a team that has certainly given you your fair share of trouble. Now, UH has not had the best of luck against Davis. The last time they were here at Rainbow Wahine Softball Stadium was 2023, and they would win the first matchup, which was not televised, but they would televise the doubleheader, and they would lose both games. And that was senior night 2 years ago. And, that was a good way to respond back, but I think they could have swept. And if it wasn't for that 8th inning where Davis erupted for 8 runs on 8 hits, UH would certainly have gotten that season sweep. But fortunately, they faltered the first one, but came back to win the second game in a shutout 6-0. And fortunately, you have seen my interview with Liliana Thomas, but that's the last one you're going to see from me for a while, until I can get media creds again, because I did get in a little bit of trouble. But you know what? I've been able to kind of put that behind me now. I don't want to go into any more details, because I was feeling a little junk after that. But, it happens. Everyone makes mistakes. I know I had to put up my dream to put chasing my dream on hold for a while now because I guess I was under the impression that I thought I could still talk to the players after that, but not so much anymore. But that's okay. You know what? I've already put that behind me, and that's where I'll leave it. So you won't hear any sound bites at all because obviously I did get in a little trouble the second day, but still, it's okay. Like I said, I've been able to put that behind me, and until I can find a way to be part of a big media entity, you unfortunately won't be seeing any audio interviews at all on either of my channels for quite some time. So I've been able to kind of like be a little open to talk about that, but I really don't want to discuss that here because then I'm going to start feeling bad again. But then again, that's probably just how I've handled it. A lot of people look at it as like, oh, oops. And I know I was kind of beating myself up a little bit, but I guess I was just under the impression that I thought I could still do that, but obviously I can't. So that's where I'll leave it. So I'm okay now. So anyway, UH should get to getting back to Davis. This was a good series for UH, and quite frankly, if it wasn't for that 8th inning, I would definitely give them an A+. But I think because of that 8th inning in the first game in the doubleheader, I'll probably give them a B+ because they were able to come back and win the second half or the back half of the doubleheader. And fortunately, they were able to win the rubber match on Sunday 3-2. That was actually a pretty clutch moment, a pretty clutch win for them because UH put up 2 runs early, and then Sierra Yamamoto belted this RBI single to ultimately win it for the Bows and bring Keely Kai home. Teammate and pinch runner. So that was definitely nerve-wracking for sure. I definitely felt a lot of nerves going through my body, but still, that was a good performance and good for UH to take some momentum against another team, Cal State Fullerton, that has certainly given UH more than their fair share of troubles, whether it's at their place or at Rainbow Wahine Softball Stadium. And the last time they were here was last year, and the first match was really exciting. It turned out to be an exciting finish, and UH would win it 2-1. But in the doubleheader, it seemed like something went wrong, and UH would lose both games, being held to 7 hits overall. And Cal State Fullerton did all the scoring in both games. UH didn't even score a single run. But, at that point, last year they had lost Maya Nakamura to a season-ending injury. And it seemed like at that point, this is just my opinion on this, but it seemed like looking for inspiration for Maya Nakamura's season-ending injury might have worn out its welcome by that time. And again, at the same time, it was also senior night and they were decorating the place. So I guess maybe things were kind of right. I guess maybe their game was kind of off a little bit because they were kind of distracted by decorating the whole facility. And you can't blame them. I mean, they did have a lot of seniors on the roster. But still, anyway, as far as Davis goes, I'm glad they were able to take the series. It turns out it's the first time in 8 years that they've done this. But any momentum they can take into Cal State Fullerton will do them wonders. Now, one can hope that UH will take the series over them, but obviously that's going to be tough because obviously UH has only had a handful of wins against them. I believe they have about 20 wins against them or close to that. But, you know, how are you feeling when you've lost more games to a team like Fullerton, or they're like, or I think going into 2022, they were like 16-65, and then they end up sweeping them in 2022. So I don't know when was the last time UH pulled off a 3-0 sweep against UC Davis, assuming that they have. I'd like to think they did. I didn't really look back on the history that much, but all I know is that this is the first time that they've taken the series over Davis since 2017 after looking back on HawaiiAthletics.com. So I was definitely encouraged. I think that this team can do great things. Do I think they can win this series? Maybe with a little luck. They will. Will they win the Big West overall season? I don't know. After what happened in the Long Beach doubleheader, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like kind of iffy about that. But I do hope that they do make the tournament. It'll be the first time this has happened, and the top 6 teams will qualify, and UH is on the outside looking in. But still, it's still early. I would not count this team out at all. So anyway, as far as Davis is concerned, to win the series 2-1 is good for them. But that was a series that I think that they could have swept. And had they gotten that one more run that they needed before the 7 scheduled innings were over, yeah, we will be looking at a clean sweep. You have to take what you can get, and you have to take as much momentum as you can into your next series, especially against a team that has certainly given you more than your fair share of troubles. And that's what Cal State Fullerton did and has done through the years. Another team that's done that, Long Beach State. CSUN, they've been kind of hot and cold. Last year, UH swept them when they came here. And they struggled the year before that. A lot of that could have been because of Dallas Millwood being out. But this year, I have a feeling that they will get some season sweeps down the line. With who, I don't know. Maybe UC San Diego, since they're not doing too well. Maybe Cal Poly, they're not doing too well either. But, you know, softball is wide open. You can look good in one game and look kind of crappy the next game. But you never know. So I'm looking for UH to really come through and win at least one game. If they can get at least one win over a team like Cal State Fullerton, that would satisfy me personally. But if they can get 2 wins over them or take the season sweep or take the season sweep, that'll be even better. You know, you got to look at it as be realistic. Are you going to complete a series sweep of? Are you going to beat every single team in 30 games? Not likely. You know, unless you got a pretty damn good player on your team. Like how Oklahoma had Hau'ula's own Jocelyn Alo on the team, and they were doing really well. And they did really well too. Or I should say, Oklahoma, they did really well with Jocelyn Alo on the team. And you put Jocelyn Alo on UH, we probably would be looking at a near perfect season. That's just my opinion. Okay? But we've got our own good players like Liliana Thomas and Karis Murakami and Milan Ayat, just to name a few. But still, this has been a good season overall. I do think it is still early, and UH can still turn some heads. They need some season sweeps and they're going to need some bad luck from their opponents. So hopefully they will make the tournament. Am I looking for them to win it? No, but if they do it, that's great. But obviously it's going to be tough. And obviously UH has kind of been on the kind of around the middle of the pack, maybe even close to the front. So hopefully they can pull off a fourth place, which is where they were predicted to finish. I would have put them for third or fourth. But still, I think they can pull off some season sweeps, and they're going to have to if they want any chance of making the tournament. So thanks, guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you all again. Well, I'm a Pono, folks.
For the Aggies there in the top of the seventh. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 2 left on base. And that's your final score. University of Hawaii winning 3-2.